Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Is Dana Coverstone saying in two of his dreams that these dreams are talking about the election being a big trap to catch the cheaters? You and I, people that understand Bible prophecy, that understand the modern prophets, Shane Warren, Maurice Sklar, people like that, because we have all of that additional information, we sit in a very unique position to understand Coverstone dreams. Now, that brings us to the second question. So why doesn't God just speak to us plainly? I mean, even the disciples ask that. And he says, well, to them it's not given to know, but to you it is given to know. So the same thing is true today. God is speaking in these dreams so that those people that know and understand his spirit, Bible prophecy, his modern prophets, they will understand. But to the average person out there, it's just gobbledygook. It's just smoke and mirrors. They don't understand, and they're not intended to understand, but you and I are intended to understand. And I think we will. I think we do. All right, so let's go back, and let's talk about the dream that was given to Coverstone August 17th, 2020. I call it The Obvious Winner is Not So Obvious. And boy, is it speaking to us today. I dreamt that I saw the calendar month of November. It was bent, torn, and dirty. I saw trees in the background that were leafless, but there were a few trees that still had a scarce amount of leaves on them. It's simply saying, yeah, it's November. These leaves had turned as if rain was coming. The sky was a dull gray with extreme cloud cover. I saw a finger appear and circled November 3rd continuously in a clockwise direction. I've talked about that before. But then suddenly it changed to a counterclockwise position before these images appeared. Meaning, I believe it's saying that starting November 3rd, everything changes. It changes from an evil empire ruled by Khazarian mafia, deep state, Moloch and Baal worshippers, and it's changing briefly to a time when God is in control. Briefly to a time when he is allowing, remember, Maurice Sklar talked about this in his courtroom of heaven vision, where until all of those people whose names are written in the book of life come into the kingdom, the beast or the tribulation is not going to be released, or tribulation not going to start. There were many cities on fire and headlines everywhere that read, Trump's victory challenged. Have we seen that? No, we have not. No, not yet. Hang on. But let's think about this. There was over 20,000 different churches praying in the month of September, according to Coverstone. That's what he said at our solemn October assembly. And then, of course, we had our solemn September and October assemblies. We have certainly done a lot of praying. Now, Coverstone and I also agree that, yes, some of these things have been softened and delayed, and some have been removed. And it is our desire that all of the bad be removed. It would be nice if we didn't have to go through some of these things. But on the other hand, we also understand that to a certain degree, the child must be corrected in order to learn. And America must be corrected in order to get, sometimes, like the rose bushes story. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but if you beat the rose bushes, you get more roses. Sometimes things have to go bad in order for things to get good. And right now, I think this is good news. There were cities on fire, headlines everywhere that read, Trump's victory challenged. We haven't seen that yet. I believe it's coming. These were on digital marquees in Times Square and other big cities. There were protests in the streets who were weary and asleep. They appeared dirty and dingy, as if they had not slept or showered in weeks. Suddenly, the bell rang out loud and clear, and protesters awoke and started salivating like a dog. Big buckets of saliva seemed to stain their shirts. I saw people screaming and getting violent over the election results to the point of firing weapons randomly in all directions. Now, hang on. Look back. Have we not seen almost a perfect setup? So what if Donald Trump, what if the people behind him, that talked him into running, and this whole thing was set up 10 years ago, running for president. What if they knew that the Dems have been changing votes for years? Don't you think they knew that? That, in my opinion, I can't prove what I'm about to say, but I think they've been changing votes not for 10 years, but more like for 30 years. Don't you think they knew that they were changing votes? Don't you think that they knew that they were going to be listening in his conversations and trying to take him out? I mean, that's the reason he said that the Senate was the goal. In other words, for Trump to do what he wanted to do. In other words, don't you think that years ahead they were prepared for this? I also believe that the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, man, it came at exactly the right time. Exactly right time for what? See, for sometimes to kill the cockroaches, you got to turn the lights off. You got to let the cockroaches come out and feed. And then all of a sudden you flip the lights on at the right time. Well, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg death just kind of happened to come along at the right time. And then exactly the right person, this Amy Coney Barrett, just happened to come along at the right time to make this election the most important election in American history. Maybe it's not all accident. Maybe the Dems are not in as much control as God is. Maybe all of this is the plan of God. Why? To clean up America. Why? To bring in a few years of prosperity, a few years of his spirit, and a great revival to sweep in the remaining names into the kingdom before the beast is released at the sound of the first seal, if we get to hear that, the first seal opening. Could it be that all of this is to catch the cockroaches that are cheating in the elections? To catch the cockroaches that are all the evil governors that are out there? To let the people see what they're doing to their communities by not stopping these people from looting and burning? Could it be that all of this is all the hand of God? God is not surprised by a bit of it, not one thing, and it's all in his hand, and it's all to clean up the world in general and America in specific. Why? So that there could be a shaking to get more roses, a beating to get more roses, a turning off of the light to allow these bad governors, these cheaters in the election to all be discovered and exposed. Remember what Coverstone said? Discovery. Okay, let's go on with this one. I think it's very interesting times we're living in, my brothers and sisters. I think Trump, well, doesn't make any difference what my opinion is. The prophecies I believe in say Trump is going to win. Now, right now, it looks pretty dim. It looks like, but it's all in God's hand. I'm not worried a little bit. Well, maybe a little. I don't like to see Biden almost getting 270, but I know Trump's going to win. Okay, let's go on. So the bell rang. What is the bell? The bell rings when it's finally announced that Trump won the election. That's going to be the bell, and that's going to be the thing that brings out the anger. Okay, so let's go to the next sentence. I saw a person with a sign that read, "The obvious winner is not so obvious." Well, isn't that really the point of what's going on right now? Because right now, Biden's about to jump out and say, "I won." Oh, he wants to so bad, he's chomping at the bits. He absolutely cannot stand it that he can't come out and say, "I won, I won, I won." Everybody knows he didn't win. I mean, Biden holds a rally, and it could be held in your kitchen. Biden holds a rally, and it could be held in a house. Trump holds a rally, and there's at least 5,000. Most times there are 10, 15, 20,000. 20,000 people at almost every one of his rallies. Okay, you're going to tell me that all of this voting is legal? Don't we think that Trump knew they've been doing this? Don't we think that the hand of God has set a trap for them? We're going to get to that here in just a second. I think this is all planning out, working out, all according to God's plan. Yeah, I think Trump is in control to a lot of degree, but I think God is in control to 100% degree. And all of this is his plan to build his kingdom. See, most people can't see what I'm talking about, but folks that know their Bible prophecy and their modern prophets say, yep, I understand. I know exactly what you're saying. Let's go on now. I saw a person with a sign that said the obvious winner is not so obvious. He held his head in shame, but the crowd was in a frenzy of hatred, and boy, aren't the Dems, and even hitting one another in their wrath. We haven't seen that yet. It's coming as soon as they announce Trump won. I saw more cities with pillars of smoke over them, similar to the wild firestorms in California. I saw crumbled and burned out buildings in Washington, D.C., not monuments, but businesses and commercial real estate. Headlines declared, quote, rebuilding would take time and trust would take even longer. And government could not do it in a timely fashion. So as soon as Trump is announced to be the victor, that's going to be the bell ringing. You're going to see people come out and you're going to see all of this take place. Now, I say all of this take place, but we prayed against a lot of this. And to this point, we have not seen things get near as bad as Coverstone said they would be. Well, that's good. That's the whole point of our prayers. We don't want this thing to come along bad. All right, now, a couple more things, then let's jump to the next thing. I saw a Treasury official wink in a sarcastic manner, almost as if he was looking into the camera on a live TV, big smile, open mouth, wink with the right eye, and held it closed. Now, Coverstone told me that this guy is not a good guy, so that's probably saying that this is tied in with this whole big bad, how do I say this? You remember the coins disappearing? You remember the flag burning in the other Coverstone dream? And the interpretation of that is the dollar loses 2/3 of its value. Okay, hang on to that. Now let's go to the next part of the Coverstone dream. Then I saw a Conestoga wagon with KH driving it, led by 2 mules, and JB was riding the one on the far left. At her side, there was the mechanical box that would trigger the dynamite. The push handle was in the upright position. The wind blew the covering back to reveal several other older-style dynamite and some loose in an open wicker basket. Is that the suitcase nukes? Probably not. Or is that a plot? Is that a plot that evil people in high places have set for Trump, but God? But God is going to intervene. Is it not saying that the trap that they set for Trump, they themselves get caught in? Let's go on. KH began whipping the mules and beating JB as with a whip. JB had no idea who was being whipped. Well, I don't think he knows what's going on. He was not aware of what was happening. The mules started moving and picking up speed. They were heading toward a target car. I saw HC standing behind President Trump, who was on his knees. She was wearing what resembled a Wilma Flintstone dress that was ugly, unfurnished with patches. She had a gaudy ring on her index finger that looked like it had blood on it. And of course, that's not a surprise to think that this lady has blood on her hands. There was a skeleton key hanging around her neck, dangling in front of President Trump's eyes with blood on it and black mold all over it. Okay, in other words, she has the key to a lot of evil. It had stained the front of her dress with a stain that looked like the lightning symbol of the SS black and red. That's the Nazi SS. She held a Roman gladius knife to the left side of his neck. In other words, evil people in high places have plans to take out the good guy. I'll say it that way. The wagon started picking up speed. HK pushed the plunger on the trigger and jumped off the wagon as it headed towards HC and Trump. HC's face was giddy. I saw that there was a large animal trap close to her leg. Again, a trap they set, they're going to get caught in themselves. What is the trap? Could it be that part of that trap is all of this election cheating? Trump grabbed the key hanging in front of her, pulled it down, then struck HC's face with his fist as it came down. She dropped the knife, stepped into the trap, and the president ran off quickly. Could it be that that trap, again, is the elections, all of this cheating? I heard 3 handgun shots and watched 3 Secret Service agents in suits jump in front of all of the 3 bullets to shield the president as he got into his car, called the Beast, and was taken away to safety. The Secret Service agents, without sunglasses, surrounded the car with muskets as it slowly moved away. Now, sometimes people can try to read into this every little thing. You know, we've been around this dream stuff and the way God talks for a long time. I don't think that the Secret Service agents, the sunglasses, or even the muskets mean so much. I think it's simply saying the trap that the evil people in high places set, they step into themselves. In other words, if we're correct on these votes, if we're correct, it's saying that the votes that are supposed to get people in high places elected actually causes their downfall. That's what it's really saying. That's what we're seeing, too. There was a huge explosion which damaged buildings and left a big hole. It threw the carcasses of the mules on top of the building, rubble where the smoke was coming off them, like they'd been grilled. JB was lying face down in the middle of the street with wheel tracks all over him and a vulture sitting on his head. HK was crying in disbelief, and her tears looked like they were the size of quarters. Again, I don't think we need to read into every little thing, every little detail. I think it's simply saying here that evil people that set the trap get caught in the trap. Some of them get run over. Now, in the other dream, we know that there was some guy in some kind of a casket. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but the date was December 17th. That's going to be a date I'm going to be watching for. I want to see what happens December 17th. See, I know Coverstone. I've been around him. Well, I've had him in my home. We've gone to eat. We've had our private conversations. You can trust what he's saying. You can trust Coverstone. He is hearing from God. Now, not everything God says always comes to pass. Matter of fact, I believe most everything that God spoke to Coverstone, God doesn't want to come to pass. Let me say it again. Most everything, I'm not saying all, but most everything that God spoke to Coverstone, God doesn't want it to come to pass. That's why he spoke it to him, so we would pray, and so what America would have more time. Now let's go to the next one. Then I saw the church. There was a separation line with no middle ground left as sides had to be taken. Well, have we not been praying, and have not the other prophets out there said that there is a separation coming in the church between those that know and those that don't? Or you could say between the pre-trib and the folks that have the truth? Could it also be that there's a lot of people in the church that need to wake up but simply won't? Let's go on. There was fire on the altars in churches around the nation. Now, does that mean that people just lighten up fireplaces? No. It's saying that fire of God, that sevenfold miracle stuff, that great move of God that's going to fill sports stadiums you and I have been talking about for 4 or 5 years is about to hit. Now, what are we talking about? This is talking about the month of, it's talking about the month of November, isn't it? November. I'll read it again. I saw the church. There was a separation line with no middle ground between the sides. There was fire on the altars of the churches around the nation. Fire moved on the heads of people, that's right, you and I, who had been praying, and above the heads of many people in the church. I saw an actual question mark symbol above some of their heads. They appeared very confused. In other words, some people are on fire. Some people understand this is the last days, and they're looking for those sevenfold miracles to arrive, and they're looking for people to finally start listening so that they can explain Bible prophecy to them. Some don't want to hear it. They're willingly ignorant. You try to explain, they drop the little window shade, and they change the subject, or they simply walk away and they think, what a kook. Yeah, I've had it happen too. I saw an actual question mark symbol above their heads. They appeared confused by what they were seeing in the world and the church. In other words, I've been talking about it. They're going to be scared little rabbits to wake up in the middle of the tribulation, unprepared, ill-prepared, uninformed. I heard a voice say, those who refuse to get ready will be wanting in the end. So brace yourself and tell others I have warned them to brace themselves, for they're about to see even more shocking things. Ready or not, here it comes. I believe that, yes, we have prayed, softened, delayed certain things, but like Coverstone said, but some of them, no, some of it's got to come, and I agree with that. Now let's go to October 20th. Discovery, a house divided against itself shall not stand. I saw what looked like an atlas with interstate lines all over the nation, but they were flashing bits of information going all over them. My suspect is that we talked about this yesterday, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I suspect that this is actually the voting going on. Some of it is getting through. A lot of it, in my opinion, is being changed. Can't prove that. I think it's interesting. It all winds up in Philadelphia. Let me read that part. But when the flashes reached Philadelphia, the network line, which was red and flashing, went into where the Liberty Bell was setting, and the Liberty Bell blows up, and I think that that's saying that a lot of it has to do with Pennsylvania and where the Liberty Bell is, and I think it's saying that our liberty is on the line. What I saw next was the lines of data, all headed for Washington, D.C. I think this has to do with votes, too. And it looked like the city had octopus arms fighting to disconnect the data lines from entering the city. Yeah, they want to get rid of some of those Trump votes, right? There was one, though, that kept flashing and building up in its pulses, even though there were people in suits and ties trying to pull its connections out of the Capitol building. It finally blew up, and the Capitol building cracked in half, and issues of a huge smoke cloud that spelled the word discovery. This, I believe, is talking about the election. It's saying that this whole election, all of this cheating, I think Trump let it go on. He could have stopped it. And in certain places, he tried to stop it. But to me, this word discovery has to do with the election, cheating in the election. I think that there's paper cheating. I think that again, I can't prove this. There's been reports out there, but I can't prove it. There's been reports that, yeah, there are places where they're steaming open envelopes and changing it. There's places in the old folks' home where they're going to the old folks and say, we're going to help you with your vote, and then they change the vote. There's reports where there are ballots thrown away. I heard someone called me the other day, or I guess it was email, and they said, well, in the Trump places, they're saying mark your ballots with a felt tip marker. Yeah, well, the problem is you can't read a felt tip. And so the ballot, when it's scanned, doesn't have any votes at all. And then, of course, somebody can come along then with the correct pen and mark it all dim. Now, again, I can't prove that, but I think a lot of that's what's going on. It's saying that there's a big discovery. There's a bunch of evil that is about to be discovered. And I think we have got to do something to clean up our voting process. Can you imagine if they could come up with a system where absolutely, positively, there was no question, every vote is counted that is legal? I think we would see a mass exposure or discovery that a whole lot of these people that just got voted for, a lot of the Dems that they said won the race actually didn't win the race. Now, try to imagine if this were to come out over the next few weeks to a month, if this were to come out that a lot of people that they said won the race for the Dems didn't win the race, would that cause more rioting in the streets? I mean, can you imagine if there really was a landslide Republican victory from the top to the bottom like we've been praying for? Could it be that this word discovery, these data lines, all has to do with the election? Well, we don't have long to find out. At this time, I saw the man that I'd seen in previous dreams standing in the place where the president gives the State of the Union address. He tapped the microphone 3 times and stated with a loud voice, A house divided against itself shall not stand. All right, now, I read that yesterday, but here's the question. Is that saying absolutely positively that America must fall now? Or is that like many of the other Coverstone dreams saying, America, you better get your house in order? Meaning, America, you better see to it that these arrests take place. Because just like 2 Chronicles 7:14 said, turn from the wickedness, turn from the wicked ways. Then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. To me, the arrests are a key. But to me, this discovery, with this talking about this Liberty Bell blowing up in Philadelphia, and these lines, the big flashes and smoke and data points, to me, that is all talking about the election. In other words, could it be that Trump has set a really big trap, and that these people that set a trap to see that Trump could not get into the presidency themselves were caught in the trap? And could it be that this discovery, specifically talking about Washington, D.C. and the White House, all has to do with the election was a big trap? And they knew that all of these Dems were going to cheat, and they set a trap for them. I don't know that that's going to be the way it is, but it just keeps coming to me. So, we'll sit and watch. However, I do recommend you make certain that you have the preparations that you need, spiritually and physically. Emergency food is almost sold out everywhere. However, because of our relationship with heavensharvest.com, they have made an entire truckload available to Prophecy Club in a few weeks, where others are totally out or waiting for months. They have all sorts of emergency supplies and food at heavensharvest.com. Their food comes in square stackable buckets, breakfast, entree, protein, fruits and vegetables. Heavensharvest.com makes it easy to order. I recommend you have at least 12 months of food for each person in your family. Receive a free box of heirloom seeds when you enter the promo code STAN. That's heavensharvest.com, promo code STAN. Heavensharvest.com, promo code STAN. When a nuclear device is detonated, the wind blows the dust settling on everything around you. Then you breathe, eat, or absorb radioactive iodine, which then kills your thyroid and kills you. A simple fix is to immediately take potassium iodate pills, which flood your thyroid with good iodine, keeping the radioactive iodine out. You need 1 bottle per person per exposure for everyone from infant to adult. 10 bottles available for a gift of $225 or $25 per bottle at prophecyclub.com. Shelf life from 5 to 8 years, potentially more if you refrigerate or freeze it. That's prophecyclub.com, potassium iodate pills. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is owned by a prophecy student who reads his King James Bible and supports Prophecy Club. Call CornerstoneAssetMetals.com for gold, silver, palladium, rhodium bars, or coins. They can help you roll over your IRA, 401k, so tell CornerstoneAssetMetals.com Prophecy Club sent you. You can now watch 160 Prophecy Club recordings without interruption. The introductory rate, $20, recurring monthly subscription. A 1-year subscription is a gift of $200. You get the first 3 days free just to check it out. Watch prophecyclub.com. Each single Prophecy Club DVD is a gift of $30. In that you know the internet is going away one day, it is a good idea to actually have the disc. However, at watchprophecyclub.com, you can have instant access to over 200 titles on a recurring monthly subscription of $20 or yearly for $200 at watchprophecyclub.com. That's $6,000 worth of information at watchprophecyclub.com. That's watchprophecyclub.com. What a deal. Click like, share, and subscribe.